Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the Notorious ATV. This is Just Incredible. We're here with Dillon Hines from World Class Professional Big Time Wrestling. Did I get that right, Dillon?
Yep, World Class Professional Big Time Wrestling.
I got it right on the first. I'm so proud
stuff.
of myself. I was scared to death I was going to trip all over that. Dillon, you have been a man of controversy all across the internet for the last few days.
Hell, my entire life. The day I was born, I was controversy.
You know, they say controversy makes cash, so hopefully this continues to help you out in the long run.
Yeah.
I guarantee that you didn't, lose much when you lost Matt Riddle.
No.
So let's start at the beginning of all this with it first popped up for me because of his girlfriend's comments. What's her name? Misha? Is that right?
Yep, Misha Montana.
Misha Montana, whose real name was...
Well, she says it's not a real name. If you looked at all her tweets, she claims that Michelle Gray's not even a real name. So honestly, what is her real name?
Why is she sending you text messages under a fake name to try and get money? I don't understand. Isn't this what our grandparents were warned about with the internet? Be wary of strangers texting you wanting money.
And I'm intelligent enough to know, my number's out there. Everybody has my number. It could be anybody sending that text. That's why I said I needed to verify with Matt Riddle that this text was authentic.
When I messaged your Facebook account to start this discussion, the first reply, it offers me a phone number.
Yeah.
So anybody could be texting you. I'm a little surprised. Did you ever talk to Matt?
At any point? Yeah.
Okay, well, I know you texted him, but I just meant, have you heard his voice? Do we know that Matt is safe?
I've not heard his voice. No.
Has anybody heard about? I haven't seen an interview with Matt. I haven't seen a tweet from Matt. I mean, we have concerns at this point.
Yeah.
I have a lot more.
Where is Matt Riddle? Is Misha Montana abusing Matt Riddle? She got him locked up somewhere.
I mean,
because honestly, if you look at her tweets the other day, she was it was psychopathic material, that she was putting out there. So, is Matt Riddle safe? I think we need a wellness check on him.
We might need to.
They were invited to be part of this.
Yes, they were offered a spot here, just like
That's right.
Same tweet, even.
Yeah.
And having worked in conventions, I know that it can get shady really quick.
Absolutely.
It's wrestling. It's kind of carny. If you don't know that, you're in the wrong business. That's just
kind of carny. Hell, the entire damn thing's a damn carny.
Yeah.
Exactly, right. Wrestling is one big circus, and we got to just make the best of it, basically.
Yeah.
And Matt, you guys had a textual agreement.
Hell, he did a promo, which I've spoken to Eric Sims. I don't know if y'all know that name or not, but he's been an agent for 40 years. He's 39 years, I believe he said exactly, but 40 years. And when talking to him, I said, is a promo in our industry not a form of a contract? And his answer was, it is a contract because you were stating who you are, right? Hey, this is da-da-da, right?
Yep.
Second off, you're stating, I am going to be in location. Third, I am going to be for the person. The date you mentioned, the times, everything else, what you're going to be doing, That's a contract. Hell, that was everything that would be in a contract other than how much he was getting paid, but we have text to that as well.
Well, and the thing is, if you're making this promo video, then you're clearly not upset. You have an agreement on money, on funds, on the deal. So why are they so why would he go back on it at that point? He's already made a promo video. I don't understand it. So he came to you last minute wanting a deposit.
No. He didn't come to me.
Well, she came to you.
She came to me.
Yeah, she came to you.
Which at that point, I didn't know it was his wife. It could have been anybody in the world,
Yeah, I mean, it is a name you don't know. I'm assuming you have never met this woman.
And just to say this, I asked because this person was saying that they were an agent, right? I am because they said they were an agent for Matt Riddle or representing Matt Riddle or whatever.
Yeah.
I asked two people that I would say are very high up in the professional wrestling industry, right? One has a gigantic roster of talents that they represent that are recently released WWE talents and stuff that we are still working with, and we'll touch on that subject in a little bit. And the other is a guy who runs a company down in Charlotte that's the Amazon of professional wrestling. So,
I think I got blocked by that group too. Was that NWA Legends?
no. That's the guy I'm talking about. Is High Spots.
Oh,
nice,
yeah, I
nice,
love
nice.
high spots.
All right, I'll just go ahead and say it. I asked Michael Pachicchio who, if he knew that name, right? Because he's worked with Matt Riddle numerous times, right?
Yeah, that's where the I want a Matt Riddle Funko from was high spots.
Yep.
And his answer was, no, I've never heard of Michelle Gray. And if Michelle Gray was just starting with Matt Riddle, okay, right, we get that. So maybe he didn't hear of that name when he was working with Matt Riddle. But if they're an agent in the wrestling industry, I would be surprised if they didn't have other wrestling talents under their agency, you know?
Well, and here's the
And Michael runs WrestleCon, right? So
obviously, if she's an agent, Michael would have talked to her.
At some point, they would have had to have crossed paths in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Whether she was doing something with a vendor, or she was a vendor, or he was booking a talent through her, or whatever,
So, according to her Twitter says that her name's Misha Montana. The text she sent you said it's Michelle Gray.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it pulled up here. It's, hi, Dillon. This is Michelle Gray. I'm the manager for Matt Riddle. In this communication, I'll be representing his best interest. And they want to deposit before he heads to the airport. You've never talked to Michelle Gray before. Matt's not the one that's told you this. Why would you send this person money?
Right.
So, obviously, you're going to be hesitant. And he misses his first flight because of this, right?
Right.
You send the deposit.
My question's this. Considering the facts that Matt booked his travel on his own because that was the arrangement that we always had. And second off, I was able to go back through numerous text messages because I'm someone that saves everything. Every single thing that I get a text on, I save, right? I don't delete text messages. I got text messages dating back to almost a year ago that he does not do deposits and he does not do contracts. So guess what? Message me about a deposit. Well, because there were some people on the internet who said, well, he should have paid the deposit prior to the day of the event. The man don't take deposits.
Well, and that's, having worked in conventions myself for a few years, I understand, like, there are some wrestlers that they want a deposit, they want a guarantee, but that's all established well beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen guests that start demanding that kind of stuff in the last minute. And basically, it's really simple. If you're going to miss time on the floor signing autographs and making money, then you're taking money from the convention. So why come? Like, it's just going to hurt you at that point. So the fact that he had missed his flight, he was going to be late, right?
Right.
At that point,
he was going to end up arriving, because I've been able to look into the times and everything. If he would have arrived at 3:45, right? He said that he was going to. What he typically did when he would come in, he'd get his own rental car and all that, right? Very independent guy, which hats off for that. Some talents you got to babysit and got to be with them 24/7. If they want a coffee, you got to make sure they got a coffee right then and there. They want something to eat, you got to make sure they got their food right then and there.
Man, I know.
Pretty much got to do it. You got to pretty much do everything for them, other than wiping their rear for them.
The only thing that Demolition needed from us when we had them at a convention was they wanted fresh coffee in the morning. That was it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome. So yeah, I mean, he would have come in and signed for what, an hour?
Well, here's the thing. The signing was from 12 to 5, right? So what I was saying was he would have landed at 3:45. So let's go ahead and say 4 o'clock. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to go through the airport, get your bag, right?
Yeah.
And then he would have to go get a rental car, right?
He wouldn't have made it.
Which is another 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, he wouldn't have made it from signing.
So it takes an hour and a half to get from Columbus to Waverly, Ohio, right? So put all them factors in there, right? Y'all listening? And with all that together, he would have probably got there about 7 o'clock.
Which he would have been able to have gone over his match and went out and presumably won, because I feel like that's what he thinks about himself. And instead, he ended up getting to sit at home and not make money for the weekend.
Which, honestly, if you look at the news that came out the same day of all this, it looks like he's in a situation where he's needing some money.
I have heard that he owes, what was it, 20,000?
28, I think.
According to the reports, that he owes almost $30,000 to his ex-wife.
And those poor kids that he abandoned.
Yeah, so maybe.
And I'm not sure if he did abandon. Oh, pardon me. I'm not sure if he abandoned them or not. So I may be wrong. Maybe he didn't abandon them.
Well,
I think it's. I would say it's kind of abandonment. If you're not paying your child support, because that's to support them kids. That's to help them kids out, right?
Hey, I mean, my wife's ex-husband, he got behind at one point, and I know how that goes. You get threats from the government and from the law at that point. So maybe if you're that far behind in child support, you shouldn't be backing out of appearances.
Now, here's the other thing, though. On the other hand, on the child support thing, maybe he's not making the money like he used to make with the WWE, right?
That's probably true.
And Ricky Morton, I love Ricky Morton. He's like family, right? But we all remember Ricky Morton back in like 2004, I think it was. He had a child support issue also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he was in trouble with the law because they wanted him to pay a certain amount of money for child support, right?
Yes.
The issue was what they were going off of, what he was getting paid by WCW. But at that point, he was no longer working for WCW, so he was not making what WCW was paying him, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So maybe what they're doing with WWE, and pardon me, if Ricky Morton hears this, it was nothing against you, Ricky. I'm just bringing up an example of the way wrestling
loves Ricky and would love to have him on at some point.
Yeah, we do both like Ricky and Carrie, for that matter.
Yeah, right. And both of them are coming March the 8th. We'll talk about March the 8th later on.
Awesome, sweet. We'll get
that. And Robert's coming as well. We'll have the Rock and Roll.
Hey.
But the other thing I was going to go on is maybe they're going off of his WWE contract and what he was getting paid by WWE on Matt Riddle.
Maybe he just needs to go to court and get that settled out.
In a way, knowing of other cases like that, I would have to kind of give him a little bit of a benefit of a doubt.
I understand.
And that's for a courtroom to decide between him and his ex-wife and all that.
But all this being said,
my thing is, even without you take out the stories of owing child support, you had an agreement with the man via text. Yep. He told you he didn't want the deposit
or
a signed contract, and then he came back later. He said there was an incident earlier in the year that he was going to start having to get deposits. So was that?
Where was this?
From what I saw on the tweet, was that RVD had started out needing money. Is that, or am I misreading?
Misreading. Okay. So I'm gonna pull up Matt Riddle's thing. Are y'all able to still hear me? I don't know how this thing works.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Matt Riddle. Right here. So he sent me a message on December the 11th, right?
Okay.
He said, "Hey, I've been hearing a lot of bad things lately, and I have a couple questions." Well, I hate to say it, Matt, but and I wanted to say this to him on the phone, but I'll say it here because he didn't want to talk on the phone for whatever reason. But hell, been hearing a lot of bad things about him as well. I got questions, you know. Before my event even took place, I'd heard bad things about him. So for him to have even listened to a lie of any sort about me that could be told on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Who was he? Who was he to say, or who was he to go there and say, we're gonna believe the internet now? So I'm gonna have some questions. So he asked, "Is the show happening this weekend? What were you planning on paying me for a match and meet and greet this weekend? You haven't set any flights or hotels, so am I booking it myself and being reimbursed, or are you booking it?" After hearing some of the things I've heard, like a deposit before this weekend, or some kind of agreement that I'll be paid. Answer those questions, and if everything checks out, I'll send the promo and I'll be there. Hope all is well. Thank you. Please answer the questions through text. I don't want any miscommunication. Thank you. I said yes. We've spent over $10,000 on promotion. The event is happening Saturday.
so
$8,000 if we keep all, deal for March, or $3,500 plus split a meet and greet if you're wanting to do the split we've been doing. Honestly, the split works better in your favor. Every time I've booked you, I've never gotten the travel, right?
yeah, well, Matt
Because
works at
here's
the
the thing,
show.
Matt might be booked in LA, right? And
Yeah,
he might be booked over in
well, he
Boston,
easily could have.
Massachusetts for a weekend,
Yeah,
right? If you don't mind, just let me get this out because I want to
you're
be
good.
able to explain this thoroughly. On that, he might have 3 bookings that weekend. So what he'll end up doing is getting a little bit of money from me, getting a little bit of money from the LA guy, getting a little bit of money from that Boston guy to cover all the travel. You know what I'm saying? So continuing, I said you have always, all right. Every time I booked you, I've never gotten the travel. You always have, and were reimbursed as you wanted specific things or needed flights from different areas and such. Right?
Yeah,
And number 4, you will 100% be paid. I'd rather be judged by how you have experience working for my father and I, rather than internet lies and bullshit. And then continuing on, he said, "I'll be there. 8,000 for match and meet and greet. Reimburse me for travel. I'll send a promo tonight. Thank you." I sent him a text. I said, "Please be there by 11 a.m. $500, or no, 500 East 2nd Street, Waverly, Ohio." That was what that was. That was the address. And I sent him a script for the promo because these WWE guys nowadays,
yeah,
nothing against them, but they have to have scripts written for them.
Yep.
yeah,
Which stated on there, "Come see me, the King of Bros, Matt Riddle, Saturday, December the 14th in Waverly, Ohio, at the downtown gym. Be hand 12 to 5 p.m. and wrestling against Jinder Mahal in the main event. See you there, bros." Right?
yeah. And I mean, if he recorded the promo, then he agreed to the deal at that point.
Absolutely.
Right.
That was an agreement.
So hold
And
on. I'm going to continue on with
go ahead,
this.
you're good. I'm just backing you
All
up.
right. Thank you. Um, Never received the promo that night. Thursday, can you please send promo today? Send him that message that morning. Thursday night, "Hey Matt, were you able to shoot the promo yet?" Right? Because here's the thing about Matt, he's horrible at procrastinating. Throughout every time we've worked with him, on his end, 90% of the time, I would say he was either arriving late to an event.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Oh,
Messaging my father. He was asking what Jim Cornette's dog's name is. I guess he's.
is that Stacy?
Not very nice. Sir, Cornette's actually part of the family, so
I like to make jokes. I don't.
please not make remarks towards his family. His dog's name is Harley Quinn.
Huh.
Continuing on, Friday, December 13th at 1:22 p.m., Matt Riddle sends the promo finally.
Huh.
So this is the Friday before the show?
Yeah, that's the day before the show.
Dude, what a joke.
Why would you wait till the last minute to even send that? Like,
That's supposed to get eyes on it.
actually,
Right.
what that does is he gets to send that to you. Did you post it?
Yeah.
And then that lets him put the blame on you for him not appearing. Is what
Yeah.
what he just tried to pull. That's what it looks like, at least.
Yeah.
But continuing on, I said thank you, and then I sent him the address again, 500 East 2nd Street, Waverly, Ohio, right? That way he could easily put it in his GPS, right?
Yeah.
I got a call at 1 o'clock, right? On that night. I figured maybe he butt dialed me or something. Maybe, he's got something going on or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had that missed call. I said, is everything okay? And then on Saturday, December the 14th at 6:32 a.m., keep in mind I was asleep at the time, I got that message from Michelle Gray. Hi, Dillon. This is Michelle Gray. I'm the manager for Matt Riddle. In this communication, I'll be representing his best interest. We haven't received a deposit from you, and he is headed to the airport to join you for your event, but I'm insisting we get a deposit beforehand. First off, why would he have gotten a deposit considering...
He said he didn't want one.
Right.
Yeah. If you can send at least 25% of the agreed upon salary, that'd be great. Otherwise, he won't be able to come. I had no issue sending that deposit to him, right?
Yeah.
But I had an issue with some random number contacting me
Right.
and saying, hey, can we get a deposit, right? Well, I don't know who you are. I've never heard of Michelle Gray, and the two people I asked about Michelle Gray from, they never heard of this Michelle Gray person. So wouldn't y'all be leery?
Yeah, I would absolutely. Especially if it's my money and a random message, because it's so easy to get your number. All you got to do is message your Facebook page.
Right.
So
At 7:37 a.m., but prior to that, I tried calling a couple times, right? And I believe I also tried to call Matt to see, like, what's going on with this person. Is this person legit? Is this person real? I don't know. And the response was, "Hi, Dillon. I'm confused why you won't text over the phone. To be aware, I'll be recording phone calls if I do answer." Great. You can record a phone call if you'd like. You can either send a deposit or Matt will unfortunately not be attending. You're a businessman, and she didn't spell businessman correctly. It was spaced out. You understand? Thanks. I sent the screenshot of that to Matt, and I said, I just received this message. Is this legit? I don't know this person. Would you mind calling Dad or I? So we can know what
yeah,
this
so you
is
can have
about.
proof.
Yeah.
That's more
If you
than
need
fair.
a deposit, we'll be happy to send it if this can be verified. And his response was, it's legit. I asked my manager to handle my bookings from now on.
And
Okay.
then you find out that his manager is also his wife.
Yeah.
Apparently.
And but hold on, continuing
Yeah, go
on with
ahead.
this text
Sorry.
exchange, I said, "How would you like us to send this money?" Right, and this message was sent at 7:56.
Now, what time was
How
that
would
flight
you?
supposed to leave?
From what I was understanding, and I'll be able to get to that in a second because I'll be pulling her text up. Just let me continue with his
Perfect.
text exchange
You're good.
real quick. So, how would you like us to send this money? I don't recall ever sending you a payment electronically prior. So where would you like us to send it? I hope you understand me questioning it, as I've never heard of her. If you want us to go to her in the future, that's fine. Because at that point, if everything would have worked out right, I'd have had no problem booking Matt Riddle through Michelle Gray,
Yeah.
I sent a screenshot that he received the Venmo. Because apparently they don't do PayPal, which is weird. 90% of the people out there, I would say, would likely have a PayPal more than all the other forms,
I think that has become an issue with PayPal and taxes.
Potentially.
I feel like that's the way that PayPal's
Well, I would
changed.
have sent it friends and family. And here's the thing: if I'd have sent it friends and family, like I did on
Yeah, it's
Venmo,
true.
right? There's no tax, right?
Yeah.
So why are we not doing PayPal?
I don't know. Maybe it's PayPal's first. Happened to me. Uh, So
I sent that. I sent that screenshot. And I said deposit has been sent. I need to know what time you land in Columbus and what your ETA is to the building. And then Thursday, just to continue on, I never really put this out there, but Thursday at 2:59, after his wife, girlfriend, baby mama, whatever she is, I don't know if they ever legitimately got married or what. You know, I don't know. I said, control your woman. Which he read, but he never responded. So maybe she read it, you know.
So was that?
If someone would have messaged me and told me to control my woman, I'd have jumped all over them. I would have been all over them like they'd never seen nothing before. I'd been like a spider monkey, you know.
Yeah.
But he don't respond, and he's supposed to be some big tough UFC guy, you know, that goes around and beats on people and all that stuff. He's supposed to be some scary guy. I'm not scared of him.
Well, there you go.
Well, I mean,
So, Michelle Gray.
yes.
I already read the first part. She continued on after the "Hi Dillon, I'm confused why you won't text over the phone" part. The next message was, "The time for the flight is approaching, so I take it you're unable to secure a deposit."
Which is an insulting way to put that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. Like, just to say, oh, I assume you can't get that deposit is kind of a smack in the face, which tells me that this isn't going well immediately.
And I send the screenshot of what I sent to Matt, and I said, I've just reached out to Matt. Unless he can verify you are who you say you are, because at that time I hadn't received that yet. I said, I will not send the deposit. If I can get verification from him, I'll be happy to send the 25%. We'd like to speak to him on the phone. I don't feel comfortable sending $2,000 to someone who I've never heard of. Thank you.
And that's very
And just 411 on this. If you're thinking, if I've contacted you for a booking, if you're working for me coming up, if I contact you eventually and we want to do some business together, I'm not going to put your fees out here. The only reason I'm putting this guy's fees out here is because it makes the story complete. You know, I have to.
Yeah, you have to defend yourself.
Because later on we're going to be getting to something even more. Sent the screenshot where he said it was legit. I said, I've received verification from Matt, awaiting where we should send this. Because I'd messaged him and I said, how would you like us to send this money, after he had, you know, said it was legit. And her response was, Mr. Riddle will verify with you. That's not a problem at all. And she continued on, wonderful. You have his telephone number, so whichever preferred method of payment that's immediate will be acceptable. That's not a phone number. What is that? You know?
Yeah.
That doesn't give me anything. I don't need to speak with you on the phone, right? I prefer our communication remain in his writing, is what she said. Should say remain in writing, but okay. If you're not going to scam somebody, or right? Here's the thing: if you're an agent and there's an issue or there needs to be something done or something for your talent, if I call you, you should be hopping right on that damn phone, right?
Especially
and saying hello, how are you doing? Because I'm going to go ahead and say this. I work and do a lot of business with Steve K, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time we've done business, if there was an issue or if there was a question or if we needed to contact for flights or whatever, right? All I had to do 90% of the time, now there's been some times where he might be busy or there might be like it's a holiday so he can't talk, so I'll send him a text or whatever, you know. Or he's got something going on with his family or whatever, you know. I can just, you know, call him and he'll say, all right, here's this, here's that. Let me send this to you, you know. Let's get all this taken care of. And, you know, there it is. So I responded with, I am fine with any recording. Because she already said, if I talk to you on the phone, I'm recording you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, because I'm going to ask you how to send. Please record, because I'm going to ask you how I can send this money. I said, and continue on, I said, I'm just trying to figure out where to send. Because saying, well, you got his phone number. Yeah, you got mine. That doesn't tell anything, you know?
Yeah.
Matt never responded with his information, so that's not saying anything, you know?
All you wanted to know was who to send the money to.
Yeah, it's simple. Easy.
So because of this air quotes delay, he misses his first flight.
Hold on though.
Okay.
He finally gets it back to me. I asked that. Eventually, I asked at 8:04. She responds at 8:06. Right.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay, he doesn't have PayPal because typically that's what we usually use is PayPal. PayPal is just the easiest form of sending money.
Yes.
And the answer was we no longer accept PayPal. No. And I said, okay, completely understandable. Thank you. What time does he arrive to Columbus? Sent the screenshot of the thing. I said, please verify payment was received, along with the time he's set to land in Columbus and arrive at the venue. Nobody's answering these questions, right? Finally, the answer. Well, he won't be arriving without a deposit.
So what was the delay from you asking when he would be there till them saying he needed that deposit?
And
Back.
here, hold on. Here's the thing, right? That deposit was sent at 8:08, right?
Uh-huh.
Before that, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. It looked like we were doing everything we could to secure him getting a deposit, right?
Everything seemed pretty legit and
Right. So my
on board.
question says, her response. This is at 8:21 a.m. The last message before that I sent was at 8:11 a.m. where I said, please verify payment was received along with the time he's set to land in Columbus. So 10 minutes later, I get the response of, well, he won't be arriving without a deposit.
Well, he got the deposit though. So
Yeah. And continuing on, his flight was scheduled at 8:15 with a 10:35 a.m. arrival. He will not be on the flight because of the payment delay.
and at
A
that
payment
point,
delay that took place that morning, and nobody was responding. Nobody wanted to talk prior. Nobody wanted to. He didn't want to send a verification. Like,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's my fault that he didn't want to, do proper business. But that's
well, I mean,
fine. Payment was received through Venmo. The next available flight gets him in at 3:45. If the event is missed, then he'll refund the payment.
so basically he wanted you to loan him the money, and if it didn't work out that he didn't make it, he'd pay you back, but you had to take his word, not him taking yours.
Right.
According to his agent girl.
And continuing on, the meet. So I messaged her, right? The meet and greet was from 12 to 5 p.m. If he lands at 3:45, he'll miss the meet and greet. The Super Show starts at 7 p.m. The deal was for him to do the 5-hour meet and greet and Super Show. I'm going to say this. A lot of people said, well, he doesn't put $8,000 worth of seats or butts in the seats, right?
No.
Maybe not, right? But I take a rough estimate that he would have at least had 100 people meet him at the event, right? And if 100 people would have met him at the event, I believe we were charging $80 a combo.
Mm-hmm.
So if 100 people would have met him at the event, that would have been about $8,000. But say there would have been more than that because in Chillicothe back in March, we had more than 100 people meet Matt Riddle, right?
Well, there was one guy on Twitter that was like, I've been to see Matt 3 times this year and I love it. And he was planning on going to the show in Ohio to meet him.
There was one that met him, right?
Yeah.
And they met. I think it was the same guy you're talking about. He was planning on meeting him at our show again, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he had
And I
pictures
think he
with
said he
his
bought his
kids.
kid a shirt and stuff. And he said, I've spent over X amount of dollars on meeting Matt Riddle. My kids were big fans, right? And her response was, well, you should have kept that money to yourself.
Well,
For
and
someone who's needing money, which we'll talk about someone else who's needing money, Sabu in a little bit. Why are you telling fans they need to keep their money? I hope all fans, because this isn't slander, this is whatever, this is what she stated, because I'm sure y'all could find that screenshot or you could get a screenshot of that if needed. With what she's saying, fans should not be paying to meet Matt Riddle. So I hope all fans keep that in mind that they're not wanting to do meet and greets and stuff. Because that's not. Is that what y'all take that as?
That sounds to me like they just want to wrestle and get
Yeah.
paid $8,000 to wrestle, and that's
Yeah.
how the WWE works. That's not really how the indies work.
Right. And but continuing on with my text, I said the Super Show starts at 7 p.m. The deal was for him to do the 5-hour meet and greet and Super Show. I guess we'll have to work something out whenever he arrives, right? And she said, we'll work something out before. If it's not agreeable, he won't be coming. Okay. So that message was sent at 8:55 after I'd messaged her at 8:31, right? So 24 minutes after the day of the event, you don't have a response until 24 minutes after the fact. At 9:06, because I'm very easy to respond, but I'm also in the middle of trying to get an event together.
Yeah, I mean, you're a busy man at this point. It's the day of the show.
Yeah, I said, okay, what do you suggest? His rate is $5,000 a match. If there is a meet and greet, he will receive all of it. Expenses for flight, hotel, and car.
I'm sorry, but you can make your money back on 8,000 with the meet and greet. I don't know that you're going to make your money back on 5,000 in ticket sales.
Right. Continuing on, because we had other big talents on the show. It's not like he was the only talent, that was,
Well, I mean,
on the show.
You had Jinder Mahal.
That's true.
Right. We had
Yeah.
Elias. We had Jake Hager. We had
Jerry
30 other talents. And we typically don't use, unless you are a very, very, very talented independent talent, which my father's always went off. We're not minor league. I would say the independents are like the minor leagues of baseball, right? We're not a minor league. We're more of like a Legends League, I guess you'd call it, because we're not WWE by any means, but also we're not the average independent show.
I've always looked at convention wrestling shows as more of a super show.
Yeah.
Right, which we're bringing in talent. Like on this card, we had Too Cold Scorpio on it. We had Elias. We had Enzo. We had a who's who of, the last 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, you've got a great roster of people for fans. Yeah. And if you're backing out of the meet and greet, you don't have a lot of room there for you to make money on that.
Right. Plus, we have a couple independent stars, on our shows. But like I said, they have to be the best of the very best. Like yesterday, we posted on our Big Time Wrestling page. I'm not sure if you got to see that or not, Aaron.
The Heath Slater announcement?
No. When we posted the thing about Bryant Huff, the guy that was wrestling Too Cold in that video clip.
I saw you post it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Check that out. Shout out to Bryant Huff. If he's watching, again, like I said in the message, heck of a talent. I showed a person that's not a wrestling fan him in action on that video clip, right? And the response was, wow, impressive. And he's got the ability that if he's young, if the right eyes catch him, which brokering for us, you get some of the right eyes looking at you,
Yeah, I mean, it's a foot in the door.
He's got the ability. What'd you say?
It's getting your foot in the door and in front of the right people.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much how Finn Balor started getting over in the States and getting eyes.
That's true.
Plus, I would say we're kind of like a developmental, because we've had talents that worked for us that went to NWA, such as Big Mama. She's currently the NWA Women's TV Champion, I believe. We've had talents of ours that worked for AEW. We had Aminata, Queen Aminata. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that name.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Some of her first matches were for us in
awesome.
Ohio. Cool. And we've had Brian Pillman Jr. for about the first year of his career. Dad worked very closely with him, where we were putting him around the right people. Like, we had him doing stuff with Kevin Sullivan.
That's always was a good
thing. Kevin's always a good hand.
Yeah. Which, rest in peace, Kevin was one of the best,
Definitely.
Continuing on, we had so many other talents that walk through our ways. Hell, if you want to go back to the '90s, the Hardy Boys had some of their first matches for us. So we're a place that I would say is like a developmental, where if you're an independent talent and you're the one of the very best, you got to be able to knock our socks off. Dad's seen the shittiest wrestlers of all time, and he's seen the greatest wrestlers of all time.
That's true.
Right? He's
Yeah.
been around the wrestling business for almost 50 years, which your graphic of our logo, by the way, is wrong. It's 47 years now. We haven't really got to update our graphic yet, but
I pulled it straight
it's
off the Facebook.
it's 47 years, and in 2027 we'll be celebrating 50 years of World Classic Professional Big Time Wrestling, which
Nice job.
it is the oldest promotion in the United States to have been owned by a single family, because now with WWE going out, right? Or actually, we'll go ahead and say this, by a single person, because WWE was a little bit longer because of Vince, but
Yeah.
and his father and all that stuff. But a single person. So Dad was co-owners with my grandpa Hines. Back in 1977, my grandpa Hines started up the promotion in September of that year. And in the 80s and 90s, they were still running. My grandpa was the one mainly running it, but Dad was still heavily involved with it, getting talents from World Class and other talents like Jack Victory, John Tatum, stuff like that, you know. Tommy Rogers came in. Other talents from World Class came in. And the 90s, we were running in Circleville, Ohio, having some of our big events, which is pretty cool. For those who were coming March the 8th, we're doing a photo op with Cactus Jack and Abdul the Butcher. If you've been following World Classic Big Time Wrestling since the 90s,
Okay.
in the Southern Ohio region, one of the big rivalries was Abdul the Butcher versus Cactus Jack. Everywhere we went, there was a bloodbath between them two. So March the 8th, a photo op with them. That's some of them people. I was talking to them about it in last week, and they said that they never imagined they would get to have that photo op, and they're excited for it because.
Here's an idea. Free pitch from the notorious ATB at Till 5. Find a way to rig up a photo op that makes it look like you're sitting in an electric chair. Because that WCW Chamber of Horrors match where Abdullah gets electrocuted because of Cactus's mistake, that would be such an awesome photo op with those two guys.
It would. That would be amazing.
So continuing on with the and that's a good idea. Continuing on with the statement though.
Yeah, go ahead.
With we're one of the longest running companies out there, you know. So
yes. So that pretty much that gets us caught up with Riddle.
Yeah.
So you've got some issues with Sabu, apparently.
I want to continue something about Riddle though.
Okay, go ahead.
So Thursday morning, like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. Sometimes I'm a night owl, sometimes I'm not. I posted that because I wanted to make sure everything was finished with our event, right? And clear out everything, right? Make sure everything was done, all like the last minute things that, you know, we take care of after the events and stuff was finished out and everything had been taken care of. I posted on Facebook, that I was going to be going live and discussing the Matt Riddle situation. Because this story had to be told.
Yep.
I received a message at 7:53 a.m. Good morning, Dillon. I hear you are going to discuss publicly Mr. Riddle's appearance last weekend. If you could do me a favor and forward your email address. I sent my email. I said, you two held us up for money. After I get done showing what transpired between you two and I, Matt will never receive a booking again. I have every right in the world to sue you and Matt for damages. Because people bought tickets to see Matt Riddle, right? Mm-hmm. People bought tickets to meet him. People bought tickets to see him in a main event match, right?
Yeah.
I have a right to sue him for that because he no-showed. He screwed us. Second off, and it made us look bad, you know?
Yeah.
Because we weren't able to give what was promised to the fans because of their delinquencies.
Yep.
So she sends laughing emoji. So I sent that at 9:53. She responds at 11:27 a.m. with laughing emojis. It says, "Oh my God, I can't wait. Please do sue me. Everyone knows you're a scoundrel. You couldn't deliver what you promised to the fans. No one is scared, love. I know your daddy didn't teach you to talk to women this way, so maybe you need a timeout." First up, my message said, "You two held us up for money. After I get done showing what transpired between you two and I, Matt will never receive a booking again." Where did I say anything foul against a female?
Not a thing there.
Not a
was foul.
word. No.
No. And I'm sorry, but I find it a little inappropriate for her to call me a love all the time
Mm-hmm.
and then be like, you need to learn how to talk to a female.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And she kept calling me babe when she called me on the phone. She kept calling
Like,
me babe. And I
how
finally
would
told
she
her, I
feel?
said, "You don't know me. You don't know me. You don't have no right to call me babe."
How would she feel if I referred to her as Toots the entire time that I
Yeah.
tweeted? Like,
So she
no.
continued, "Go cool off. Do whatever. I'll have my attorney respond if you feel so inclined. Have a beautiful day." And I responded with, "Not a joke. Don't play with me. I could deliver what was promised, you lying witch." Because I did everything to deliver what was promised. I said, "I have the screenshots where your client received $2,000 to get on the flight but didn't. I'll destroy y'all's ass to the public," which I think I've completed that mission.
I'm
And
pretty
earlier
sure.
where I said Matt will never receive a booking again, maybe people will give him a booking, but I'm going to tell you this. Anyone who's seen my post, I would say 99.9% of them, if they're a agent or a booker for a promotion, guess what they're saying right now? Don't book him. Because I've
That's a
seen several
giant
people
red
say that
flag.
they're not booking
Yep.
him because of that. Yeah, we don't want to deal with it. So I said, "Not a joke. Don't play with me. I can deliver what was promised, you lying witch." So I never called her anything that was inappropriate. I just called her a lying witch, right?
And
Uh,
that's not you. You're not editing yourself for PC, which is what you called
yeah.
it. Okay. Just for people listening, you're not trying to sugarcoat
And
it.
that is a witch with a W. It's not a B, you know?
You didn't call her a bitch, you called her a witch.
Right.
Yes.
Making that clear for everybody.
Yeah.
And I said, if I need to bring Candy Cartwright up, I'll be happy to against the sexual predator. And here's the thing. That's not me, whatever. It's public knowledge that something happened.
There
If
have been
something
accusations.
happens sexually against someone that is not wanting it to happen, right? You're a sexual predator.
Well,
And I understand that you were pissed off at this point, man. Like
Yeah.
this is a big hassle.
yeah, at this point she's poking the bear.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the show's over with, so there's nothing that she's going to be able to benefit you. So you might as well just let people know the truth
Mm-hmm.
and air it all, post the screenshots, and that's what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And people still were like, no, 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 that's not how it was. Even, I think it was NWA Legends. I pulled up the tweet where they had tweeted.
I'm going to talk about him in a minute. We'll
Okay,
get
go ahead.
to him in a minute. Continuing on, though, I want to be able to finish this out with everything.
You're
She
good.
said, "Also, I don't think you are familiar with my stage name." Here's where it's big reveal. It's Misha Montana. And then I replied back, "You have more balls than Matt," because Matt, when she called, no comments from Matt. When she texted this stuff, when I texted this stuff, if I'd have known someone was talking about me like this, and they're together, they live together, I suppose.
Yeah.
He would know that I was saying this stuff about him. He should have called me in and said, "Hey, I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." But nah, he didn't even have the balls to say that. I said, "Maybe you have a new type of porn you can go into." Inappropriate joke for those maybe in that LGBT community, or whatever. But
Well, I
I'm
mean,
gonna say this: I am not politically correct.
well,
I am not politically correct. I think political correctness is bullshit. And saying someone has balls, that's
Well, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
It's
We won't get into it.
So continuing on, she said, "Oh, babe, that's wild. I'd say you had balls, but clearly you don't. Thinking Matt would jump for someone like you. Keep going though. I'm enjoying it."
So at
So
this
I
point,
sent the video of the promo from Matt, right? And I said, "I suggest telling your client that he shouldn't do promos for events he doesn't plan to attend." That's the first thing. If you're not going to attend an event, don't do a promo for it, because it makes you look like the dumbass.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like he pawned it off on you, like it was your fault that he couldn't show up.
But he did the promo, so it was his
Right,
fault
that's what I'm
completely.
saying.
Yeah.
well, I have seen the same thing happen from celebrities.
Yeah.
Certain people from Sons of Anarchy did that.
And she commented back, "Tell me you don't pay people without telling me. You screw everyone. It's cool. Slander away. Your 3 followers care." Which was funny because I commented back to her later that day and showed her, and I'm sure y'all saw that same screenshot where 57,222 people seen what we put out there.
Wow.
So if 3 followers care, no, more like 57,000, and every one of them agreed. Misha's crazy as hell, and we don't want to do business with Matt. Matt's bad for business. So continuing on with her thing, you don't need to text me. I don't know what the rage is 5 days later. There's nothing you have. You can cry on a podcast with 5 views, which I'm sure, because I'm going to share this damn podcast everywhere, and every other podcast I do, it's going to get a lot more than 5 views.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, this
man.
honestly, as soon as this is done processing, I'm gonna upload it and send it on Facebook to you. So
She says, "Don't care. You are in the wrong. Clearly, there's something wrong with you. Please stop texting me. My attorney will email you. Have a nice day." Well, Misha, if you have an attorney, they never did message me. I sent you my email. Apparently, they said, "Well, this isn't defamation. This isn't slander. This isn't anything. So we have no basis legally to message." Because what did this guy do? He posted screenshots and commented the truth based on those screenshots. And I said, "We pay people. Every time Matt worked with us, he was paid. You were very ignorant." And I continued on. "Maybe you literally got your brains effed out." And I'm blurring that out, but with
yeah,
what I've fully said, but you get the point.
Misha brought up Sabu, trying to get us back into wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Sabu has a claim that you owe him money.
Okay, story of Sabu. All right.
So there
I'm
was
gonna pull his text up real quick.
All
You
right.
can continue on with your thing real quick that you wanted to
okay.
say.
The short version of what I understand is that Sabu got basically a mercy booking and
Yep.
then was upset about how much money he made. So your dad sent him $300. Is that the short version of what I've seen online? Is something along those lines.
So I'm just gonna start off with the entire story, and y'all can take it how y'all want. All right.
Okay.
December 8th, 10:53 p.m. Hey, use me for the 14th. This is from Sabu, right?
Okay.
My reply, it's Saturday. He said, yes, use me. I don't have any more for the rest of the year. I'm emphasis on this. His texture completely grammatically incorrect. I'm gonna say this. I'm someone with a college degree. I've studied English courses. I've took countless English courses. Creative writing, historical writing, this, that, and every other kind of writing or
You can translate Sabu for us, right?
right.
Okay.
But
We're
I'm just
trusting
letting
on Dillon
you know
to.
that I am,
Okay.
making this
Sabu's
grammatically
translator.
make sense to everyone.
Okay. Fair enough.
I contacted him back and said flights are too expensive or I'd have you. I said they're over $600.
Whew.
Right?
Uh-huh.
He said, damn, how about 1,000? He said, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to read word for word what he said. He said, I fucking need it. I said, the flights are $600. He said, I'll give you a new action figure.
Mm.
And then he continued on. This was all him. Oh, but we'll make good money anyway. I give you new action figure. And then he said, I won't forget. I will owe you one, brother. How's Dad doing? Tell hello, please. And I said, I can't. Unfortunately, this time. If you lived closer, I would in a heartbeat. Unfortunately, I can't. His response was, damn, okay, I changed mine. Call me. I am off for a few weeks. If you change, he said. And then I said, I mentioned a date that I could use him for. And then he responded with, okay, and tell Dad I love him and you and bro. Because I have a brother.
Okay.
Said, okay, you too, right? First off, to go back to why he's saying I won't miss the flight. Well, I had him booked for an event in Indianapolis, Indiana, Square Circle Expo, back in they can change their events every year. It was in March, right? I'm sure y'all know you live in Kentucky.
I think so.
March or April, I don't know. Besides the point.
Yeah.
It was Easter weekend.
Okay, yeah, that was April.
Yeah.
Okay. So had him booked for the event, right? I sent him a message. Hey, did you get in? Everything all right? His response, hey, can you send me the flight itinerary again?
So he's missed his flight at this point.
And hold on. At first, I'm like, what? Because I'm sitting here because flights aren't cheap out of Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
And he literally got on the phone and cried to us and begged us to fly, buy another flight. So we did, right? Still paid him what we promised him, all that, right? So, Tuesday, December 10th, I reached out to him at 5:09 a.m. If you come, will you do a 50-50 split? It's last minute. He says, okay. I said, call me real quick so I can look at travel options. And I had him send me his date of birth in case I was able to eventually find one. And I asked him and made sure what his legal name was. Never got back to me. He did call me, though, so that was that.
Okay.
Gave me all this stuff again. Tuesday at 10:52, he said, hello. I was sleeping when I talked to you last night. Was it a yes or no? I said, I'm working on it. Wednesday, December 11th at 9:41. Thanks to my friend Brandon Kelly, we were able to go and get a flight for Sabu because I had all my money tied up into the event. Brandon didn't have a guest at this event and stuff, so I talked to him, and he and I partnered up on the deal, and we decided, let's bring in Sabu. He said, hey, okay, Aaron Hotel come from cut. I am hurting. I need to work. He said, Aaron Hotel off the top. Then 50-50. I won't miss flight. Promise. I said, got everything taken care of. He said, sweet, thank you. I sent him a screenshot with the flights. December 12th. He said, got it, thank you. I said, yes, sir. And then he asked for a confirmation number. He said, do you have No, right? I had to figure out what he was saying because, he's
Yeah.
not the best at grammar. I said, what? And he said, the confirmation number for the ticket. That's what he just said. And then I said, the confirmation number is XYZ. Please don't miss the flight. And he said, thank you. I will not. Thank you. I said, okay, thanks. December the 12th, on that same date, I told him, I said, Scott will be driving you. Gave that phone number. He said, okay. December 13th, he said he needed a bag paid for. I said that he could, he already had a carry-on paid for. He said, okay. He told me when he was at the airport. I said, awesome. He said, hey, brother, what time do I go to the event? And I told him it would be at 11 a.m. He said, okay. That was the day of the event. And then at 11:31 p.m., he said, hello. Hey, I didn't touch the money. Not one finger. I didn't touch it. Right?
Uh-huh.
The money bag was missing. I don't know what happened with that money bag. I've spoken to 2 individuals and got their thoughts on it, and everybody said Sabu's history, right, he has a history with drugs. I believe that's everybody understands that, right?
I have heard
Mm-hmm.
over the
If
years.
you've experienced Sabu, I want to say this. The only reason we dealt with Sabu, the only reason he got Mercy bookings, the only reason that anything was Sabu, although all the horror stories and everything else, was my dad's love for the original Sheik. Everybody has a favorite wrestler. I'm sure y'all got a favorite wrestler. My dad's favorite wrestler growing up in Ohio in the 60s was the original Sheik, which is the uncle of Sabu.
Yeah, I'm an admitted CM Punk mark. So CM Punk and Nigel McGuinness, they can get away with anything.
Mm-hmm. So,
But
with that,
yeah,
Dad said, "All right, we'll do some business with Sabu." So I said, "I'm sorry, Terry," because he said I didn't touch the money, not one finger. I didn't touch it, right? He said, "I'm sorry." I said, "I'm sorry, Terry, but no one has it." His response was, "F man, I didn't touch it. Didn't." I said, "I'm going to see if there's a camera at the school." He said, "Ask the Blades for head manager," which I don't even know what that was supposed to mean, but okay. And I asked him, and that guy told me, because I kind of tried figuring it out. I knew who was at the table with him. He said he didn't have it, right? And he said, F, man, I'm broke. That's why I came here. I said, I know. Then he messaged me at 1:03 a.m. Find it yet? And he described who the guy at the table was. And I said, no. He said, what the F? He said, Dad, that's bullshit, right? Which I don't know what he was meaning here. There was maybe 5,000 in the bag. The bald guy, or rather a guy in the hat. So I'm still not really sure what he means by this. Continuing on, he said, I said, that's a lie, Terry. We will never do business with you again. You screwed us over. He said, I didn't. No way I did that. I wouldn't. I didn't touch it. No way. I said, I'll send you a couple, I said, I'll send you a couple hundred this week, but after that, don't contact me. He said, I never touched it. I didn't touch it. And then he said, what's my return info? And then he continued on, I didn't touch the bag, right? I sent him the screenshot of his flight information. Told him when the driver would be picking him up. And then on Sunday, he messaged me on that same day, he contacted me again. He said, your dad knows I'm not a thief. I did not do that. I am broke. I need some money to eat on my way home. That's bullshit. And I told him goodbye, right? He said, your dad knows that better than I would do that. And then he told me who the guy who had the bag was and all that stuff. And then he told me some kind of lie saying that somebody else got the bag or something.
so how
Because
many
here's the
times have
thing, I
you?
checked with two people, right? And both
Uh-huh.
people had worked with Sabu prior, and both of them said, well, if Sabu was around this bag, and you were wondering who took a bag, right? Because it was either between him or the guy that was at the table, right? And both people said Sabu, right? Both the people I asked that were outside sources said it was likely that it was Sabu who took the money rather than it being someone else. And then I said that I've spoken to several people, and they said that he took it. And he said, your dad knows I would never do that. I said, all of them said that you're coked out, which doesn't mean he's on coke, but
He's burnout,
right.
possibly. That's just
It's not possibly if you were around Sabu at this event. He slept at the table 90% of the time. From what every time, well, I'll say this: every time I seen him, he was really sleeping at the table.
see, and I want to ask one question. He said, according to him, there was 5,000 in the envelope or in his money bag, right?
I'm gonna say this: the event had a poor attendance, right?
Uh-huh.
My theory on the poor attendance, by the way, but just mention Matt Riddle's thing again, was that we had a sign at the door mentioning that Matt Riddle was not going to be there. It's very possible that some people already bought their tickets. Maybe they had family members coming just to see Matt Riddle, right?
Uh-huh.
with his name being on the door that he would not be there because of whatever, right? He, maybe some people, didn't
Maybe that
attend.
swayed some people from
Right,
coming. Yeah.
right.
Well,
So,
I get he's a very big, like, he has a big fan base. I get
mhm,
it. He's not my cup of tea, but he has a big fan base.
Yeah.
right. I'll say this. Some people like Jerry Lawler still excelled. Steiner Brothers still excelled. Other people still excelled, right? But there were a handful of others who didn't do what I would have figured they'd have done. To tell me, especially because I never saw a line at Sabu's table, right? To tell me that Sabu, did $5,000, I wouldn't believe it. Especially considering the guy that worked the table. I asked him. I said, "How much do you think you brought in with Sabu?" Right? Because my father and I were still trying to be a nice guy to him, although we knew
You
the
felt like,
likelihood
yeah,
of what happened. We still attempted to be nice and make sure everything was well taken care of with him. Well, continuing on with this thing, I finally told him, I said, lose my number, because he kept harassing me on the day after that event. It's very hard to get all of the family together, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
The day after after our events, usually the entire family gets together and we all sit down and have a meal together, right?
That's what you do. That's con
Yeah.
family. What you
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
We don't have our Christmases together. We don't have Thanksgivings together. We don't have Easters. We don't have birthdays. We don't do any of that stuff, right? Because my uncle lives in North Carolina. My father lives in Ohio with my other uncle. Like they both live in Ohio. Um, I live in New York.
Yeah. I mean, it's
It's very hard for everybody to be up in the same area at the same time, except for when it's the weekend of events.
yeah. I get that.
Unfortunate, but that's just how our
And then
family
on
is.
top of things, after working a convention, you don't really want to talk about the convention for a day.
Especially because I said it on my live the other night. That event, in my opinion, I know the fans have came out. You've seen the comments. They all said they enjoyed it. They were highly entertained. It was a great event, right? And I appreciate all of those comments, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm going to just say this. At running these events, right? My events are some of the highest attended events in the United States, independent wise, right? If we're an independent, I'll take that. Independent wise, we are one of the highest attended. Sometimes our numbers rival a WWE or AEW event because we ran our event back in March of 2022, and during that time, I believe Jimmy Yang or whatever his name is was at our event, and he was also an agent for WWE at the time, and he commented that our attendance was higher than what WWE had recently. So,
I mean, I guarantee that you had numbers to rival current AEW draws.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Probably.
So,
that's
with that said, the attendance wasn't the greatest this time. We had 2,300 people there. Not my greatest attendance. It's a great number for everybody else.
it's highly unlikely that there was $5,000 in that money bag.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And if you're asleep at your table or not at your table, you can't really expect the promoter to be making you money because you're the thing there to make money.
Right.
So I don't really see where he has a lot of ground to stand on. It seems like he's managed to burn that bridge.
So I want to say this. My father on Sunday night, because he was starting to get harassed by Sabu as well, right? And being a fan of the original Sheik, it all goes back to that, right? He sent that money to him. He sent him $300, which we were told maybe $300 came into the bag, including what we had for change, which we usually have $100 in change in each of the money bags
Yeah.
for when we have talent. So with that knowledge, he got the change also. So We never made the money back for the flight. Never got anything, and Sabu got $300,
And a
which
weekend.
I wouldn't expect him to make thousands of dollars because we announced him on Thursday, I believe it was.
Yeah, your last minute guest announcements don't make a lot of money, don't sell you a
No,
lot of tickets. It's
Right.
more of I got a really good deal on this person, so I'm going to bring them in. Here they are.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to do a favor for somebody, or somebody screwed me over. I got a real kick a few years ago. One of the guys, well, a few years ago, many years ago, one of the guys from from Fast and the Furious wanted an upgrade in his flight the day of the show, and the promoter was like, no. And then messaged somebody else and was like, hey, if you can get to the show, we'll put you on and you can keep all your money. I think it was Elvira. She drove up and ended up being there last minute and made thousands of dollars because Hector from Fast and the Furious wanted a first class flight.
right, but
I mean, it's Sabu could have made money, but it's not your fault, or there's no proof of whose fault the money bag went missing. It's highly unlikely.
I want to read one more final thing about Sabu.
Go ahead.
I posted this the other night, and I sent this screenshot to him that way because he kept saying, I'll sue you, which you don't have any money, so good luck with that. I said, since Terry Brunk and his lying friend Robert Satowski, which I'm sure everybody knows him professionally as Rob Van Dam, wants to accuse me of not paying, here's the screenshot. Terry's nothing but a drug-addicted, lying sack, but everyone already knows the story of Sabu and his personal issues. He was brought in on a mercy booking. He was guaranteed a split of his merch sales after travel would be paid for out of those sales. Dad sent him the $300 out of mercy. Sabu didn't cover the cost of flight and hotel. I am no longer participating in wrestling charity cases. Which honestly, I made the statement last night privately, but I'll say it here. I'm no longer really outside of a couple people that I know are still good for it because, I believe Enzo smokes pot, and Too Cold Scorpio, I believe, smokes pot. But every time I've worked for them, they've been professionals and upstanding characters and everything. I'm not sure of anybody else that uses it. But I've worked with them frequently, so I've been able to figure that out with them. But I'm not working with anyone who is on drugs either. So Matt Riddle, he falls in that list, and Sabu falls in that list. I said, I hope Terry, on this post, I said, I hope Terry gets the help he desperately needs. There was an issue where he was booked for the Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame or whatever by Brett Lauderdale for his GCW weekend in Philadelphia, right? During Mania weekend, right?
Yeah.
He no-showed the event. I don't know if y'all knew about that, but he
Yeah,
no-showed
I
that
heard
appearance.
about him basically just deciding he didn't want to go.
He took a deposit from Brett Lauderdale, right? Guess who paid Brett Lauderdale his money?
You?
Yeah. Cause on this post, and I had the screenshot, and I could show the entire message between me and Brett Lauderdale. I said, when he screwed over Brett Lauderdale and GCW in Philly, we paid what was owed, and now we are removing ourselves from Terry Brunk, as you can't help the helpless.
Well, and
that's all you can do.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I can't help you fix yourself, as Papa Roach said.
Now, I'll say this. I hope that either WWE, which he wasn't really a WWE guy, so I don't know if they care or not enough about him. But DDP, he goes out and helps a lot of the guys like Marcus Bagwell. Hats off to Marcus,
Yeah,
man.
he's gotten
Good for
himself
Marcus.
straightened up.
For what I've seen in the last 2 years out of Marcus, and he's family, Buff's family. I've known him since I was being carried around by my mom and dad as a little baby at these events.
Buff
Right?
is a definite
Dude.
Till 5 favorite.
I was a fan of Marcus Alexander Bagwell when I was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've always been a Buff fan.
So, and getting to know Buff personally, like he'll send me a Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, Happy this, Happy Birthday, stuff like that,
That's awesome.
Seeing what he's done in the last 2 years, where now you're seeing pictures of him with step grandkids and stuff, and he's got his entire life straightened out. Hats off to him, cheers for him, and I'm proud of him. But he had his struggles,
Yeah. Well, and if you
DDP was able to help him out. Maybe
Here's my
DDP needs
question.
to get. Maybe DDP needs to get a whole Sabu.
Maybe. So I want to round up all of this Riddle and Sabu and RVD controversy.
Mm-hmm.
You have screenshots, proof of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
If they can all manage to get their lives back together and you start seeing positive things online about them, would you be willing to book them again?
With Sabu, Dad would,
Okay.
and he's a partner,
Okay.
so
Well, that's fair. And with Riddle, is the bridge burnt entirely, or is it like inoperable at this
Never say
moment?
never in pro wrestling, you know.
on him, Dad's done with him, and I'm done with him.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Unless he was.
the apology needs to be as loud as the
See what
disrespect.
you said, showing him, being a better person and everything. I challenge him if he's listening to this. If him and Misha are listening to this, I challenge them to be better people. I challenge them completely. But everything I've seen, I don't believe he has these skills to be a good person because hell, if you listen to his thing the other day, he said, yeah, he was expecting to eventually get released because he kept rubbing everybody the wrong way in WWE. I walked up to a couple of recently released WWE names at the event, right, and told them the issue. They elbowed each other. They said, typical Matt Riddle. So if everybody thinks of a person a certain way, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if that shoe fits, then you just really need to go ahead and accept the flip flop, buddy.
I want to state this. Because I'm sure y'all will eventually. Actually, I'll do this. Y'all ask me the questions y'all want to ask me now, because I'm sure there was people that wrote in or whatever. Because you said you were going to be able to, you were going to bring certain topics up and everything. And there was people who wrote some stuff on Twitter. Bring it up, because I'm ready to answer those questions as well.
All right.
You have done great on Twitter with immediately replying to pretty much everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've gotten a real kick out of that. The biggest thing that I had a question about was the JCW or NWA Legends claim of RVD saying that you owe him money.
I don't owe him a dime. He was paid thoroughly for everything he did. Was he worth the payments we paid him? No.
I
don't believe he is worth X amount of dollars. Well, he says I owe him $6,000. I'll go ahead and say how much he is. He is a $10,000 guy. I wouldn't pay him more than $5,000. 90% of the time in the last year, we either took losses or broke even.
See, at one point when I was working with conventions, I had looked into a lot of prices, and Riddle in 2008, 2009, I think, maybe, or not Riddle, but RVD was wanting like 10 grand, and then Sabu was only wanting like 850, and he was gonna come in and work. I was like, dang, you are hurting. I mean, that fell through. It started out as a college project.
Well, I'll say this: Sabu's worth $850 to $1,000. I would say he's worth that.
Yeah.
Not at a last second addition, Well,
but
if you have enough time to promote Sabu, he's got action figures out there, At $1,000, you should do well with him.
Well, the thing with Sabu is he has a history of canceling his appearances. So, honestly, most of my questions at this point, because you have anybody that wants screenshots, all they got to do is go to your socials and they'll see the screenshots. You've posted them. You're not like taking them down immediately. You're not blocking people that I've seen.
I have blocked that assassin. What was that guy's name? I'm sure you got the name.
Was that the guy that had like the monkey?
Yeah, whatever the hell his thing was. I blocked him because he's a typical jackass.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
I'd like to know what his real name is. What I would like to know, because
Garpike28 or Assassin Monkey on X. Yeah, you and him were not.
Neither of those are legit names. So
pretty sure that I've never heard anybody with the name of Garpike.
Yeah, I've never heard of someone having that name.
Yeah. But now
That's not
you've
a
got
given
another.
name.
The let's get past the controversy. Let's
Mhm.
look forward to things to come for next year. You've got this show coming up in March. I
There was a
saw
couple
you.
other things people touched on. I guess y'all didn't get all of the stuff that y'all
I
wanted.
must not have seen it all.
No. Um, there was a controversy in 2020 because I was accused, and people still bring it up.
Then
Even today, there's people who wanted to throw that and say, "Well, he gets what he deserves," right?
here's a
Between
question for you.
mhm.
Were you a caregiver of your dad at this time?
At
Or
what
was
time?
it a work?
At what time?
When the supposed abuse happened.
I've never been a caretaker for my father.
Okay. I just
Even when he had cancer, I was not around him when he had the cancer.
okay.
My thing about that was that my brother needed a place to go during that time. He was
Uh-huh.
my brother. My brother was not struggling with life, but he was having some issues. Right? Nothing drugs or alcohol related. It was just he didn't know
Yeah.
what he was going to do with himself. He was out of high school and didn't know what he was going to do with himself. So, and he wasn't in college. He needed somewhere, something to do. And now he's working in Charlotte at a company, and I'm proud of him. But during that time, he had a license. I didn't because being a dumbass college kid, I decided it'd be a great idea at one time to drive 96 miles an hour, I think it was, on the interstate in North Carolina. And I got pulled over by a cop, and eventually I lost my license for 1 year, which coincided with the thing with my dad having the cancer. And if I'd have been up there, I felt that I would have just been in the way. So my brother was able to take care of him. My brother had the license, to be able to drive him to and from appointments and everything. I'd have loved to have been there, but if I feel like I'm gonna be in the way for something, especially if I feel like I'll be a hindrance,
Yeah.
I avoid the situation, you know. Um, and I felt that I was gonna be, I'd have just been in the way because I didn't have a license. It's not like I could have helped out other than around the house. So
Yeah. But either way, here's my thing with all of that. That's a
when those
family
people
argument that should have never been aired.
mhm. Which my
Like,
father told him, I do not want this aired. You
yeah.
went against my father's wishes. I'll say this: my father and I are business partners, right?
Hmm.
Nothing against my father, but when I was growing up, my father wasn't really around. So by the time I was in my teens, he came back around and everything. And I love my dad, but he's more
But
like a friend. You know what I'm saying?
I get that.
Uh,
I get that.
the male figure in my life was my Uncle John. I would say, if I'm looking back, I would say that my Uncle John was the male figure.
Well,
I
then,
kind of put it in my head when I was a kid that my dad was off on the road wrestling or whatever, but he wasn't. He was already retired by then. He was doing whatever in his life, but and he's apologized for all that, But he's more like a friend, and he's more like a business partner. He's not what y'all have with. I don't know how y'all are with your dad, but
actually, both of our fathers are deceased.
That's true, unfortunately.
all right. But how were y'all before they were deceased?
Oh, my dad meant the world to me.
Yeah, I had a great
Okay,
relationship with my
okay.
dad.
So y'all had great relationships.
Yeah.
My relationship with him though is more of a friend.
I understand.
Well,
So
I
I'm
have been
sure that there's been times where you and the both of you, y'all both have podcasts. I'm sure there's been times where maybe y'all had a blow up, or maybe y'all had a
yeah.
heated argument.
In fact, yesterday,
Hmm.
like it happens.
It's a cost of business.
Yeah, and if you're
Plus,
around some,
name one parent and child who has never had a heated argument.
That's true.
Well, I took care of my dad for 6 years after he had a stroke until he passed away. And we had our moments and argued even then with that relationship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that you're human. You regret some of the things that you've said to your dad in an argument.
Honestly, I regret that moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
I regret that moment. I regret that moment completely. It should not be aired.
It shouldn't have been aired. I noticed that the guy deleted it off Facebook, but not YouTube.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was shady. That's honestly, I was just planning to gloss over it because having been a caregiver and knowing the health issues that he had, I was just assuming that
And I'll say this:
life, there was just a blow up.
That was that recording took place this past spring, right?
Uh-huh.
My father is in the gym, not regularly, but enough, right? He still goes and works out and stuff, not like he used to, but he still has a regiment and everything, that he does. My father's also a tough guy. There's not a lot of stories of him being a tough guy out there. But I'll say this. Sometimes in people that there aren't stories about, that's the ones you need to worry about. My father was a promoter for boxing contests as well as MMA fights. There was a time where an MMA team that was participating in the MMA matches at one of the events said they were going to steal our belt, right? I was a kid then. My father had all things planned where if they had that plan, when they got out of that cage, he was going to do everything he could to whoop that guy's ass.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's your business.
My dad's one tough son of a bitch, especially when it comes to his business. And also, if I would have gotten into a fight with him, he could kick my ass. even with him having had cancer and everything, he's still a tough son of a bitch.
Well, I mean,
he's old school. Like I was talking to Jerry Lawler, right?
Yeah, but
him and Dad both have had their health situations in the past 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are still kicking. I would say this. They got to be two of the toughest son of bitches in the wrestling world because of all the health issues they've had, which would normally kill someone,
I did like that you.
Both of them are still going.
You had Scott Schwartz booked. I've worked with Scott at conventions before.
And that was because we had Jerry Lawler booked.
Yeah, and Jerry and Scott are like besties. Yeah.
And Scott contacted me, and that's how I actually got Lawler for the event, was through Scott. So with Scott, he contacted me and said, "Hey man, I had something fall through." So I said, "It's Christmas time. Now's a better time than ever,
Yeah.
To let Scott come in." Scott needed the booking. Came in, made his own money. That was that, right?
Yeah.
We talked about Sabu earlier. He could have done that.
Yeah, if you're working the convention circuit, which let's face it, that's where Sabu is at this point in his life. You have to work the convention circuit.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just like, hey, give me a mercy booking and then pay me what I want.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The thing about I was talking about for 2020 though.
Yeah.
People wanted to keep bringing up Dillon screwed over this, Dillon screwed over that. And another thing they brought up was Lex Luger autographs. I had Lex Luger for a virtual signing, right? They were pretty big in 2020 doing these virtual signings. Nowadays, they've kind of died off a little bit unless you're able to still do them and still get some hits. Like KNS does a great job with them, and High Spot still does a great job with their virtual signings, right? I've ceased doing mine because I just do the live signings, right? Like at the events. But to me, I didn't forge any autographs. All things were signed on that video camera, live on Facebook. Unless Lex Luger is a hologram, right?
Uh-huh. So
or unless he is an AI person, or unless he's a piece of cardboard, right? He was on that camera signing those autographs.
Look, I have worked with Lex. I had him appear at my church. Super nice guy. I got him booked for a convention, and I watched him. He signed every 8x10 that was on his table at the end of the show. He sat down and signed them all and left them there for the promoter.
Yeah.
Like, that's Lex.
Yeah.
So, if you sat down 1,000 autographs and gave him an hour, he'd sign them all.
Right.
That's just who he is.
So, for that accusation, which yesterday, I got a friend of mine that's been writing cease and desist letters. Mr. Greg Price with the NWA Legends has a history of his own where he had issues paying certain people, and that's why he is no longer in business. He wants to go out and say that was because his father had health issues. Maybe it's because his mother had health issues. Maybe. But as recalled to me by several people now, the story is Greg Price did screw over some talent, some vendors. I've been told by some people that they would never work with Greg Price again if he came back around, simply because bad experiences. So for Greg Price to come on to me, his thing is I'm running a convention. He used to run a convention in Charlotte, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is so upset that someone else that is younger than him is having more success than he ever dreamt of having. Because the talents that I'm bringing in are talents that he would have loved probably to have brought in, but, or the talents that I'm working with now, I bring in more heavy hitters than he would bring in when he was running his conventions, Not doing whatever, but it's just facts. And
Well, he went a lot more old school guys with the NWA Legends.
right.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, if
And
that's
the other
the
thing,
thing,
because
cool,
I'm gonna finally address something that people want to keep bringing up. People keep talking about a situation between me and someone else's wife and someone who runs an event, right? The person who runs the event and their wife, right?
Uh-huh.
No one's business. If anything happened, it's between the three people involved. If nothing happened, it's between the three people involved. It doesn't need to be brought up by internet trolls spilling out bullshit.
Fair enough. Yeah. Like I vote we leave people's sex lives out of internet discussion in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm all for that. So
Right.
I
So
love
there's people who want to keep bringing my life up and saying I did something or whatever. No.
I feel like Dillon
None of
made
their
a
business.
checklist of everything that people have been accusing him of before he came on the air, and he's like, all right, I'm going to tackle all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Because I was
Because
very
I'm going to
much...
say this. I studied criminal justice, right?
Okay.
And I wanted to bring that up. I got two more things I want to cover. I studied criminal justice. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I studied advocacy. That was what my main focus was advocacy. I know how to defend myself with advocacy. I know how to defend other people with advocacy. I know how to talk because I studied criminal justice with a main focus of advocacy. Why did I study that? Because I have aspirations to eventually become an attorney, right?
Well, then you're all like ready for this whole you'll be hearing from my lawyer argument.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know the law. And the things I don't know legally, I have plenty of people out there that I am friends with that are attorneys or have studied higher than I have. And they can say, here's how this needs to be, or this needs to be worded a little bit better, or whatever. Because now I have someone that when I want to make statements, at one point I would say I was a hothead, right? I would just go off on random stuff. But now I have someone when I want to formulate my statements, I read them to them first. That way, if I need to reword something to make it a little bit more professional or a little,
A little
better.
less open for lawsuit interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Which
understand.
everything I've said here today, unless these people can prove that I'm lying, unless Sabu can prove that I'm lying, that he's on drugs, which everybody, unless he's not, then that's a surprise to everyone else in the world because that's the story on him. Is it not?
Yeah.
Unless Matt Riddle can say that he's not on drugs,
Hey,
which according to the world, according to society, marijuana, although it's legalized, is still a drug, is it not?
well, caffeine's a drug too. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
drug is a loose interpretation,
right.
but the the point is for Till Five's
Mm-hmm.
point of view is we wanted you to have this platform to just air it all out. If these guys want to come on, they're more than welcome to come on too. I don't care. It is purely everybody's running their Twitter fingers instead of just putting it on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted, and I really appreciate you coming on here and doing this with us.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to round it up. My wife's probably ready to do something together. It is Saturday before Christmas. But before we round up and let you go on and Tanner goes and plays Call of Duty, you have this show in March. You said you're going to have the Rock and Roll Express, I believe.
Yep. Rock and Roll Express are there. McFully's there.
Nice.
Kevin Von Erich is making a rare appearance.
Nice.
Jake Hager, y'all got the picture of him, so we got to talk about Jake Hager.
Yeah, Jake is your world champion, right?
He's not a world champion. He's a Triple Crown champion, which represents the states of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Indiana.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I've been to two of those. No, I've been to all three.
He is which that title was at one point held by the likes of Wahoo McDaniel, Ronnie Garvin, Abdul the Butcher, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and several other. My father held it at one point.
An illustrious lineage.
Yeah. Plus that
Very
title,
good.
if you separate the titles, the crowns, right? They have lineages of their own. So there was eventually there was one point in Indiana territory for wrestling, which that represents. There was an Indiana champion, there was an Ohio champion, and there was a Pennsylvania champion at one point with the territories. So, with that statement,
yes,
Jake Hager's now the Triple Crown of Wrestling champion after defeating Drew Skills, which phenomenal talent as well, this past Saturday in Ohio. The reason Jinder Mahal did not wrestle was because he had injured his knee. But that's completely different than not showing up to the event. He still showed up to the event. He was still really willing to work. But knowing how his knee was and everything, we said that because we had to change the entire card because Matt Riddle didn't show up. Then the Headbangers left, which I don't know why they left, but they left, so we had to change the entire card up. We were pretty much thrown into a tight spot.
I mean,
Jake Hager, though,
I will admit, at one point while you were talking about the Two Cold Scorpio match, I went and checked out some of those spots, and that did look like a lot of fun.
And Jake Hager, former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, former ECW Champion,
former AEW hat fan.
He was a huge star with both the AEW stuff and the WWE stuff, and he's a legitimacy from him being in Bellator.
That's true.
Legitimacy of him being from the Oklahoma State, I believe it was, where he had that collegiate, he won awards and everything with that. It was NCAA champion, I believe. Having him as a champion, that's huge. And I believe that he deserves as much whatever as he can get, as much flowers and everything as he can get, instead of being blackballed because of his political beliefs. Because, like we were talking about off air, Benoit. I brought up Benoit. Benoit was a phenomenal talent, right?
Mhm. Well,
Watch his matches.
we
Phenomenal
had a
talent.
greatest of all time tournament, and Benoit was in our tournament. Like, he
Right.
deserved it. Yeah,
Shitty human being.
absolutely.
Jake Hager, from everything I've experienced so far, and at one point I would have said this about Matt Riddle because I have to go off my experiences.
Yeah.
People, great human being. Jake's a cool guy, right? And I look forward to doing a lot of work with him. But people are wanting to judge him because of his political belief.
I don't care about your politics. Like,
Politics is
that's
bullshit. If you want to support Donald Trump, you support Donald Trump. If you want to support Kamala Harris, you support Kamala Harris. I'll say this.
Or James Kennedy, Robert Kennedy fan than any of them.
What'd you say?
I was more of a Robert Kennedy fan than any of them.
Mm-hmm. But that's the good thing about America. Everybody can support whoever they want to support. It shouldn't be judged upon. Hey, I follow like comments where my great aunt supported Donald Trump, so I'm not going to get together with her for Christmas this year. If you're listening to this, and I hope this airs before Christmas, if you're listening to this, is this going to air before Christmas?
Yeah, it's going up today.
Okay. Yeah. If you listen to this and you're one of those people who say, well, my family member supported Donald Trump, I'm not going to get together for them with them for the holidays. Or, my family member supported Kamala Harris. Fuck the politics. And I'm sorry for using the French word, but fuck the politics. I've had grandparents. All my grandparents are passed away, right? Mm-hmm. I'd love to have another holiday with my Gaga, which is what I called my grandmother in North Carolina. That was my mother's mom, my maternal grandmother. She was and I were very close. I spoke to her every day. Her and I would have hour-long conversations, right, every day. Look, every year I've looked up in the sky and asked God, why can't I get 5 more minutes for Christmas with her, right?
Yeah.
And this year I was given a snow globe, and it just brought so much. The snow globes are magical. It just made me feel my grandmother's spirit, right? Because she loved this holiday. But don't allow someone's political beliefs to cause you to say, you know what, we're not going to get together for the holiday. Guess what? Like I said, fuck the politics. Call your loved ones up. Even if there's someone out there that you despise or you dislike or whatever, call them up and still get together with them. If you have a legit hatchet to bury, and politics, I'm sorry, is not a legit hatchet. It's bullshit. But if you have a legit hatchet to bury, call them up and, tell them you love them, your family, Now, I can understand if circumstances, if something happened, that was beyond forgiveness. Like if you have a family member that did something to you, like sexually or something or whatever, I completely get that,
Yeah, well, don't hang out with your uncle that touched you, obviously.
Right. But if you got a mother that supported Kamala Harris, or if you got a uncle that supported Donald Trump, right? Get together with them still. Still love them, because one of these days, when them people are gone, you're not going to be sitting there and saying, oh, well, they supported Donald Trump. You're going to be saying, man, I wish I would have had that moment to celebrate the holiday with them.
If they mattered to you 6 months ago, they should still matter to you now.
Yeah. Canceling people because of politics is complete bullshit. If they're a legit horrible human being, if they're going out and raping and molesting and, committing other crimes,
Yeah.
Completely get it. Cancel them. Right? But
yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, politics is bullshit.
Let's just go ahead and cancel Conor McGregor forever. With everything that's going on there, by all means.
How about Mike Tyson? There are all these people who tuned in that Mike Tyson fight. He's got a history of himself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we've gone off on a real tangent here.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the time, Dillon.
Yes, sir.
You have a great weekend. Merry Christmas. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas and
Dillon.
happy holidays to you and everyone else listening.
And hopefully we can make it to the show in March.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Hope to have y'all there. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye.
See you.